What is up, bros? Me, Josh here, and in today's video, I'm bringing you a nice little review over the Perth. The Perth is the new premium ship coming to World of Warships. It is a Tier 6 Leander, so it's just like the Royal Navy cruisers if you've played the Royal Navy line. It's just a Leander class, a little different, and it is the first one from the Commonwealth, quote-unquote, nation for World of Warships. Pretty excited. That means it's going to open up maybe some new interesting ships for the Commonwealth. It's the first one for it, so it's always exciting to see a new nation come into World of Warships. And this is the Perth. It's the first one out. It's pretty similar to the Leander, but just with a little differences. And let's kind of dive right in and compare the Leander with the Perth and kind of go over the strengths and the weaknesses. Now, the Perth is a Leander class cruiser at Tier 6, but it does have something that sets it apart from the Leander. If you've ever played the Leander or any of the Royal Navy line, it's AP only. Now, the Perth is a lot more like the Belfast, where it does have an HE option, so it is kind of nice, especially it being relatively, I guess, mid to low tier. If you've ever played some of the Royal Navy cruisers at mid to low tier, they tend to get punished on something that's not giving them a very good broadside. They can be very punishing at something that is getting them a broadside. But if they're not, let's say New Mexico is angling correctly or something is angling correctly, you're going to bounce a lot of shells and do a lot less damage. Now, the Perth has the ability to then shoot the HE and then pump out some damage and then punish a ship that's I guess playing and using its armor correctly. Now let's kind of dive in. The main battery, 4x2. 7.5-second reload, 180-degree turning radius of 23.4 seconds. I actually noticed that the guns turned relatively slow. Extra marksmanship didn't seem to help, though, as the captain's skill. Max dispersion, 113 meters, 9% fire chance, and the trajectory was okay. There was a decent arc. Like I said, if you played the British line, it is relatively big arc, not USN destroyer bad, but there is a decent arc. So but it does kind of help, though, using the environment to kind of keep you safe. Torpedo tubes, this was kind of nice to have. This is just like the Leander, 8-kilometer torps. They did relatively good damage. They're pretty punishing, and it was 2 sets of 4, so they were able to do a decent amount of damage and actually helped you when you were up tiered. And this ship does not up tier very well, I'll let you know right now. But having 8-kilometer torps is always a good ace in your sleeve to kind of have to surprise other ships. Now, the AA defense, it's just like the Royal Navy line at this kind of tier. Now, the Royal Navy line, if you get to like the Neptune and the Minotaur, the higher tiers, they have very, very good AA. But the mid to low tiers, it's almost non-existent. You're going to shoot down a couple planes here and there, but it's only static. You're not going to have the AA consumable to kind of help you out, but it is there nonetheless. Maneuverability, I found the ship to be relatively maneuverable. I think the whole Royal Navy line is pretty solid. Relatively quick, too. These things get going really fast at 32 knots, 32.5 knots, turning a circle radius of 640 meters, and a rudder shift time of 6.1 seconds, which is just a little under the Leander. Now, detectability was 9.8 kilometers and 6.9 from the air, which is okay at that tier. With a 50-point captain, that would obviously really help it a lot. And the hit points was 27,100. Armor, it's Royal Navy armor. There's not too much. You get a little bit of some plating right here, but other than that, there's really not that much armor. You got to be very, very careful. So this is a Leander with HE, and that's okay. But I was actually having some trouble with the main battery firing range of 12.8 kilometers. That's not very far. The Leander actually has a farther firing range of 13.2. So this is one of those situations that this ship will be relatively okay to good from its tier down. But if it starts to get up tiered, which I played 3 games in it, and it was up tiered 2 of the 3 times, it is pretty punishing. Now, it does have this kind of unique smoke, just like the Royal Navy cruiser line, that will help it a little bit, but the lack of range is a really big downside. It kind of will have the same effect that let's say the Furitaka has with its change to the last hull, with a lack of range, so it doesn't up tier that well. You need range as a cruiser at those tiers, and like I said, the Leander even has a little bit more range and a different style of smoke. Now, what I'm saying about that is this smoke is very unique. It's the first kind of this smoke to come to World of Warships, and it may seem normal, but it's actually completely different. Now, this smoke, instead of just laying a smoke down that stays there for a certain amount of time, this consistently lays smoke for 90 seconds, but the smoke puffs are only active for 10 seconds. So if you keep your ship under 12 kilometers or 12 knots, you will actually stay in smoke the entire 90 seconds, but it doesn't leave a trail behind you for very long, just 10 seconds. So it's kind of hard to think about, but if you could potentially keep moving towards something, maybe with your sonar on. You keep moving towards maybe like a DD in a smoke, or just kind of help your team. But you aren't going to really lay a big cover smoke for your team. You're not going to be able to smoke up a lot of battleships unless they're right on top of you. So this is really unique. It's going to take a little while to get used to this kind of smoke. The one thing is, you will know exactly when your smoke ends because it will have a countdown, but it is consistently pumping for 90 seconds. And then each smoke circle, if you use the smoke circle add-on in World of Warships, each smoke circle only lasts 10 seconds. So it's kind of scary at first and really confuses you. And then you have 160-second reload time. This is why I would roll with a premium, smoke, and superintendent as well. But it basically lets you kind of move and push forward. Now with the Royal Navy line with the Leander, if you would drop smoke, you'd only get 1, maybe 2 puffs, and then you'd be stuck there for X amount of time, just like a normal smoke. Now this one would potentially, if you're going to shoot around a rock or you need to move a little bit forward, you actually can, which is actually kind of nice, but you're not really going to help your team out too much unless something's right next to you. And it's, like I said, it's going to be 1 puff or 2 puffs of smoke that you're consistently pumping out. So 1, you're going to be a really good target for torpedoes because they know you're in that smoke. 2, blind firing. If you keep shooting, people are going to know exactly where you are, because if you're staying still, you're within that 1 smoke, so people are going to have a decent chance. So it's kind of dangerous, but it's kind of nice at the same time. Like I said, you can maybe push out on like an edge of a corner, or push up on a ship, or even run away, which is kind of nice. With this smoke, it was actually pretty nice for that. It's unique. I like it. I like it because it's new. Is it the best? I kind of wish when I was playing sometimes I wish I could lay smoke for like my teammate or something like that. It's gonna take a little while to get used to smoke, but I do find it, and it's unique. So I do like Wargaming kind of adding new, unique stuff to it. But normal stuff, it has damage control, sonar. It doesn't have an AA, just like the regulars, and it has either a spotter plane or a catapult, and premium repair, of course, and then smoke. So normal upgrades. This is what I ran on it. Main armament mod 1, pretty standard cruiser, honestly. Aiming system mod 1, damage control system mod. You could go propulsion just in case, and then steering gears mod 1. So with this ship, guys, I think they had a good idea with this ship, and I think it's going to be okay. The downside is tier 6 right now, at least on the North American server, is getting really picked on with matchmaking. You get up tiered a lot. This is probably the worst in my opinion. Maybe the Leanders are right there with getting up tiered too. This is probably the worst tier 6 cruiser in the game for up tiering. Why? Because of lack of range. You have a lack of range. You can't take a beating. Now I know most things don't really up tier that well, but some are okay, like the Cleveland's okay, the Buddy's okay. You got these other ships that are okay up tiering. With the Perth, I was finding myself really, really struggling, because not only do you have a lack of range, which you need to get really close, so you're kind of map dependent anyway. You need environment to kind of shoot over and keep yourself safe. On top of that, you're really, really, really fragile. So I was kind of having a hard time. I was trying to find the really good parts about this ship. Now, if you're able to kind of sit there and just keep punishing on stuff, which is what the Royal Navy line is like, it's what the Atlantas are like, low range ships, if you can find that magical spot, you can really, really punish a team and use that smoke to be maybe a bit more aggressive, help your team out, maybe be a bit more defensive in certain situations as well. But you're really, I mean, there's no real open water for this thing. One, because you have to be danger close against a battleship. I mean, even a Fuso going at 12 kilometers in a Fuso, you're just going to get absolutely wrecked. So you got to play this very, very coy when you're playing this ship, guys. So just kind of keep that in mind. You know, the lack of armor is a real downside for me. It has less life than the Leander. The torpedoes are nice. It's kind of if something's going to push into your smoke, you do have those, and you can absolutely punish people because they hit like trucks. But the lack of AA is also making you a relatively weak target against maybe, let's say, a CV strike or something like that. The one thing is, though, the ship is pretty maneuverable. It's relatively quick and has a decent fire rate. But I was really trying to find a strength for this ship, and I don't know if I am. The one thing is, it's a Leander with HE. So the Leander, in my opinion, is the ship where the line starts to get okay for the Royal Navy cruisers. I think the 5 and under are pretty tough. The Black Swan, of course, is the Black Swan, but that's the tier 1. So you get this Leander ship that's okay with HE. I like that it's unique. I like that it's different. but I don't know if I like this ship all the way. Um, it's going to be a unique ship. The one bad thing is too, you can't really switch over a captain. I think it would really help with when getting a demo expert. Like I said, we only got a 3-point captain to start out with, just like any premium ship. So that was kind of a downside. I wasn't able to get the premium captain. We can go over premium or the captain skills that I would run. I would roll basic fighting training for maybe some extra AA. If you're not seeing a big change in that, AA secondaries. I find that the Royal Navy cruisers actually have decent secondaries. I think they were like 5 kilometers, so with the AFT or something like that, you maybe get an extra kilometer or two. I wouldn't run AFT, but extra marksmanship, I thought that was a must. Turrets were relatively slow. Extra marksmanship helped a bunch, or at least was noticeable. Superintendent, I think, is a must for smoke for these ships. Even the whole Royal Navy line, I think you need extra marksmanship. Demo expert is a must. It's just like the Belfast. You need the extra, being able to, the potential damage, that 3% will really help. The standard is only 9% for fire, so bumping up to 12 is actually really solid. And then you would have to go concealment. You would never be able to stealth fire unless with a spotter plane, but it would definitely help being a bit more stealthy and maybe being able to get a little bit closer without getting spotted and get a better position, like on Trident. Trident's a great map to kind of push up towards an island, kind of hold down that island, because if you kind of push towards like a middle island in Trident, you can torp each side, or have torps to lock down a side, and then sonar, and then your smoke. So concealment's definitely what you want to run. But all in all, this ship has a place in the game somewhere. Like I said, Wargaming's been doing really good at finding unique ways to make ships. I'm excited to kind of what this has in the future. The Perth, though, I don't know if the Perth is going to be the ship for everybody. Now, the Belfast, which has just been released on the servers, is like this, but on steroids. I think the Belfast is an insane ship. Of course, it has radar and has these other tools in its toolkit. But the Perth, I don't know. I'm not quite sure if I like the Perth. I think the main thing is it's just lack of range. And yes, it's a Leander class, and Leander doesn't have much farther range. But for a premium ship that you're gonna be paying a decent amount of money for, to kind of have the ship that is, in my opinion, mediocre, I don't know. I'm definitely not in love with this ship. I don't even know if I'm in like with this ship. But it is what it is. It's a Leander with HE. If you like the Leander class, or just want to get a Commonwealth captain started, I guess this is going to be the ship for you. Or you want to just pick up these ships because you're a collector or something like that, then it's going to be okay. Is a Perth going to be a dominant ship? I don't think so. Like, I don't think a Perth can do something better than what a Molotov can do, or for the other premium, or a Buddy, or even a Nuremberg or something like that. Cleveland. I just think these things kind of lose that fight. It can be pretty scary, or it can be pretty good ship when it's top tiered, maybe against some 7s. But when you start getting up tiered to 8, you're at a massive disadvantage. And of course you are with every ship. But I just feel like with a super fragile ship that is a premium ship, I don't know. I mean, there was never really a situation where I was like, man, I wish I wasn't in my Molotov or a Buddy or a Cleveland. You want that extra range. So maybe a little bit longer range would have been nice. But all in all, I mean, it's not terrible. I had some decent games in it, but mainly because of torp damage. And I just feel like the ship is way too map dependent, way too environment dependent. And like I said, maybe with Demo Expert it would have been a bit better, but all in all, I think it's okay. I'm excited for what the future has for maybe the Commonwealth line. The Perth, though, I'm undecided, honestly. It's a fragile ship in an awkward tier that has a uniqueness to it, but I don't think it's going to be for everybody. But guys, that's my thoughts on the Perth. A Leander with HE, with an awkward smoke, a unique smoke, I guess is the better way to put it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you guys have played against the Perth, have you seen a Perth do well, if you've seen a Perth do bad. Let me know in the comments below, guys. I'm interested in what you guys kind of think about this Perth, or this idea of this unique smoke too, which I actually kind of find cool. It's different, which I really, really love, that they're changing stuff in World of Warships. But guys, that is it for me. Hope you guys liked the video. Remember to like and subscribe, and I will catch you guys next time.